Beyond the Bluegrass. This channel isn't about telling you where to move or what decision to make. It's about slowing the noise down long enough to think clearly. Beyond the Bluegrass is a story about place, about roots, about the quiet tension between where you come from and where life is pulling you next. For some, that pull is subtle. For others, it's impossible to ignore. This is my journey, told through my own lens, not as a blueprint, but as a lived experience. The questions I asked, the trade-offs I weighed, and the realities I had to face along the way. And to understand why leaving is so hard, you first have to understand what's being left behind. So let's start there. California is arguably the most beautiful piece of land on this planet. To leave it feels like a betrayal of the senses. Think about the diversity we have there. You have the jagged peaks of Mount Shasta and the majestic Sierra Nevada, a mountain range that defines the California spirit. It's where you'll find the alpine crystal of Lake Tahoe tucked into the high peaks, the alien silence of the Mojave Desert in its shadow, and the ancient towering giants of the sequoias and the redwoods. This is the land of world-famous skiing and rugged wilderness that has called to explorers for generations. But it's more than just nature. It's a 150-year-old culture. It's the Spanish missions stretching like a spine up the coast, marking the deep, rich history of the West. It's the history of San Francisco, the verticality of the hills, the jangle of the trolley car bells on Powell Street, and the deep, lonely moan of the foghorns cutting through the bay mist. It's the history in Old Town Sacramento, the pure imagination of Disneyland, and the global stage of Hollywood. Then there is the wine country. Beyond the tastings, this is a land with deep agricultural roots, from the first vines planted in the 1800s to the world-class estates of Napa and Sonoma today. It's a testament to the richness of the soil, and that richness extends to the Central Valley, the literal breadbasket of the world. This is where farming became an art form, feeding millions, and building the backbone of the state. We also can't forget the grit that built the modern coast. During World War II, California became the arsenal of democracy. The shipyards of Richmond and the aerospace plants of Southern California saw a massive surge of industry and a multicultural workforce that changed the state forever. It set the stage for the tech revolution, for Silicon Valley, the epicenter of innovation where dreams were made of. From garages in Palo Alto to the fifth largest economy in the world, California has been a magnet for the brightest minds on earth. From the surf in San Diego to the red gold of the Central Valley, it is a land of literal giants. For many, these icons are anchors. They represent the California our parents and grandparents grew up in, a legacy that is deeply personal and keeps millions rooted to that soil. But the reality is that the dream has shifted. California has evolved into a place that no longer works for everyone the way it once did. And those anchors of the past are starting to feel more like weight. And while my lens is on the West Coast, I know this story is being felt just as deeply in New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. These are our foundation states, the places that built the fabric of this country. They share a parallel history, a golden age where a hard day's work bought a predictable future. It bought the house, the education, the lifestyle. For many, that math still works today. If you've been established for decades or have a family home, you've secured the biggest piece of the puzzle. In those cases, and holding on to that soil and that legacy is a win. And staying put is exactly what you should do. But for so many others, regardless of what you do for a living or where you are in life, that opportunity has been replaced by a barrier to entry. It forces a conversation about the trade-off you've likely heard. That moving to a place like Tennessee means a change in income. And often that's true. But the math changes the moment you look at what you actually keep. You're trading the highest cost of living in the nation for a different landscape. When you look at the price of electricity, the price of gas, and the daily cost of just existing, your purchasing power changes. In the end, it isn't about the number on a paycheck. It's about the net reality of your life. At the end of every month, when that weight starts to pull, you stop looking at the scenery, the Sierra Peaks, the Pacific sunsets, and you start looking at the balance sheet. It's a sobering realization that the dream has become a math problem that no longer adds up. Where you currently land, It's the quiet realization that you are working harder than ever just to maintain what used to be the baseline. Once you accept the math, a new kind of weight sets in. The weight of the question, what now? Turning a decision into a destination forces you into a million scenarios. You start asking the questions that keep you up at night. Do I need to fly out there and walk the streets? Or can I trust the research I'm doing from a laptop? You're hunting for the right fit, the right community, and a way to make it all work without the benefit of local knowledge. And then comes the biggest question of all. Where exactly do I land? Tennessee offers a version of life for everyone. You have the high-energy global hub of Nashville. You have the scenic mountain frame pull of Chattanooga and Knoxville. And you have the deep grit and cultural soul of Memphis, a city that deals with heavy stereotypes but remains the birthplace of rock and roll and the home of the blues. But the choice isn't just about picking a city. In every one of these regions, you also have to decide, do you want the metro life, the walkability, the convenience, or are you ready to leave the city lights behind entirely? A quiet rural road, 5 acres, a view. You can find that peace just outside of any of these hubs, but it changes your daily life in real ways. Then come the logistics. Do you rent for a year to make sure the soil fits? How do you sell a home in one place and buy in another at the exact same time without getting stuck in the middle? Do you move every stick of furniture you own? Or do you start over with a suitcase and a dream? It becomes a season of scouting trips, second-guessing, reworking timelines, and weighing every move before you finally pull the trigger. It's exhausting, it's high stakes, and it's the necessary bridge to the life you're trying to build. But here is the warning. The grass is green, but it's also different. You have to be ready for the humidity, the storms, the allergies that test your resolve. And most importantly, you have to understand the shift in self-reliance. In the foundation states, the high cost of living often covers a lot of behind-the-scenes infrastructure and specialized support systems. It's a very managed environment. In Tennessee, the philosophy is different because you retain more of your own resources the state doesn't provide. The same level of bundled services, there are safety nets, but they don't always look like what you might be used to when you need them most. You are trading a managed cushion for the freedom to build your own. It's empowering, but it requires discipline, planning, and foresight you may not have needed before. I don't claim to have all the answers. This channel isn't a manual, it's just a story told through my own lens. I want to share the lessons I've learned over the last 5 years of making this state my home. There isn't a right or wrong destination. The only wrong answer is failing to do the research and the work for yourself. I'll provide the pillars, but the architecture of your move has to be yours. Once we move past the logistical phase, I want to show you what life has actually been like for me here, the wonderful things that keep me here, and the most challenging things I've faced. In between, we'll dive into the heart of the state, the deep history, the hidden scenery, the weird quirks, and the amazing things you can't find anywhere else. In my next videos, I'll share how I navigated the logistics of the move, including how I handled the sell and buy at the same time, and how I made the transition into the state my reality. This is Beyond the Bluegrass. If you're struggling with the decision to leave or stay, or you want to hear my journey through my lens, or you're curious, or you want to learn more, or you like storytelling, let's talk in the comments. I've been exactly where you are. I'll see you in the next one.